Good evening. Welcome to 10th video lesson on electric charges and fields. In last class we have started the applications of Gauss law. We have derived expressions for electric field due to a line of charge and also due to a sheet of charge. So we have taken a special case in the sheet of charge, that when two similarly charged plates are separated by some distance, electric field in between the plates is going to be zero, but the field outside the plates will not be zero. So in extension to the yesterday's second application, that is electric field due to a sheet of charge, we take up the second case where we have equally but oppositely charged plates separated by some distance. So this is a B part of the second application. We have a positively charged plates with plus sigma, and at some distance from here there is a similar plate but charged negatively with minus sigma. So now this will produce electric field from plus to minus in this direction. So like this it will be there. So now if I select a point here, name it as what, P, I call this as plate 1 and this is plate 2. Now this plate 1 being a positive plate, it produces electric field radially outwards from it. So we denote it as E1. And a negative plate will produce electric field radially inwards. This is E2. So now you can see that both the fields E1 and E2 are pointing in the same direction. Now our doubt is E1 greater or E2 greater? If you see point P is closer to first plate and relatively far away from second plate. So generally we have a concept so far that electric field decreases as one moves away from the source charge. But yesterday we proved that electric field due to a sheet of charge is independent of the distance. So whether P is very close to 1 or very close to 2, anywhere in this region, wherever you take the electric field will remain same. So E1 and E2 magnitude wise they are same, equal, and both of them are pointing in the same direction. So E1 equals to E2 equals to sigma by 2 epsilon naught. This what we have derived yesterday. So net electric field at point P, EP equals to E1 plus E2. That is sigma by 2 epsilon 0 plus sigma by 2 epsilon 0. This is 2 into sigma by 2 epsilon 0. 2 and 2 is cancelled. Field at point P in between the plates is sigma by epsilon 0, where sigma is Q by A into epsilon naught. So though the plates are oppositely charged, the field in between them is not going to be zero, rather the field is going to be double that of the individual electric fields produced by the sheets. Right. So this particular idea of having equal and opposite charges, we are going to use it as a capacitor in the coming chapter. Okay, right. Now if I consider another point here outside the system, which I name it as Q. Now plus charge, this plate having a positive charge will produce electric field radially outwards from here. So this is E1, and minus produces radially inwards. This is E2. Again the same doubt. At Q, does negative plate produce more electric field or positive plate produce more electric field? Now by the definition of electric field due to sheet of charge, it is independent of the distance. Therefore 1 and 2 will produce equal amount of electric field. So net electric field at Q, EQ equals to E1 minus E2 or E2 minus E1. Where E1 is sigma by 2 epsilon 0 minus E2 is sigma by 2 epsilon 0. So net field is going to be 0. So at Q electric field is 0. If you take any point here R, here also electric field is going to be 0. So this type of system can produce electric field only in between the plates, but outside the plates electric field is going to be 0. So this is one of the important expression for us to remember in order to use it in the coming chapter, right? So these are the two cases of sheet of charge. One is two equally charged, similarly charged plates. Other is two oppositely charged plates. Clear? Right. So if you have another plate here which is positively charged and you are asked to calculate electric field at any point, concept is same. Irrespective of the distance, every plate will produce same electric field. Only thing is, what you should keep in the mind that a positive charge produces electric field radially outwards from it, and a negative charge produces electric field radially inwards. Right. Now we move to the third application of Gauss law. Third application of Gauss law, that electric field due to a charged, of course uniformly charged spherical shell. This also known as hollow sphere. Generally, sphere means a solid sphere whose moment of inertia is 2 by 5 mr square. That's why we are calling it as a spherical shell. So in the syllabus we have only the spherical shell. We don't have the solid sphere. Okay, keep this in mind. Now, so here we have a shell of radius, let us say capital R. So we rub this a cloth so that the valence electrons and electrons loosely bound to the nucleus of the atoms, they transfer to the cloth so that this acquires a positive charge. So this charge will spread uniformly on the surface of the sphere. So though it appears to be a circle, but it is not a three-dimensional diagram, it is a 2D diagram, so therefore it appears to be a circle, but it is a sphere which is positively charged. Right. Now let sigma equals to q by 4 pi r square be the surface charge density. Surface charge density of the sphere, density of the shell, charged shell. Okay. Now, to calculate electric field at any point outside this or inside this or on the surface, we have to use Gauss law. Gauss law always demands us to construct a Gaussian surface which is a three-dimensional one and purely imaginary. Okay, right. Now what I do, as a first case, I will take a point P here, which is radially directed at a distance r. So from the center, the distance is r. I am repeating, from the center, the distance is r. So to calculate electric field at point P, we have to construct a Gaussian surface. So Gaussian surface should always be in such a way that not only it encloses the charge distribution, but also it has to enclose the point of interest where we are calculating the electric field. In such case, your Gaussian surface will become a sphere of radius small r. So what is this? This is a spherical Gaussian surface. Spherical Gaussian surface. Right. So if I see at point P, this charge will produce electric field radially outwards because it is a positive charge. So this is the direction of electric field. And if I want to draw normal to this surface and this appears to be a circle or a sphere, the radius of the sphere is nothing but normal. So the normal also will lie along the same line. So if you take any point here like Q, which is also located at the same distance, R, here also electric field is radially outwards, E, and normal also will be in the same direction. So therefore, if you consider another point here, R, it will be like this, both of them. If you consider another point here, S, both of them will be pointing downwards. So any point you take, all the electric field and normal are radially outwards. So all of them will have electric flux phi equals to E dot A, where A is nothing but what? Perpendicular A. That means area of surface of the Gaussian surface which is perpendicular to electric field lines. So if I draw electric field lines, every field line will be perpendicular to the Gaussian surface, because every field line will represent the radius of the Gaussian surface. You know that the radius is always perpendicular to the circumference or surface of a sphere or circumference of the circle. So therefore, this entire area of surface is now associated with the flux. So therefore, flux associated with the Gaussian surface is phi equals to E vector dot A vector, that is E magnitude into A perpendicular. So this is A perpendicular. A perpendicular denotes that it is the area that is perpendicular to electric field lines. So this implies phi equals to E into this area. It is a sphere, spherical Gaussian surface. So surface area will be E into 4 pi small r square, where r is the radius of the Gaussian surface. Okay, so this is equation 1. Now, let us use the Gauss law. So by Gauss law, flux is also defined as 1 by epsilon naught times the total charge enclosed by that surface. So how much charge this Gaussian surface encloses means it encloses Q equals to sigma into 4 pi r square. So this is sigma into 4 pi capital R square divided by epsilon 0. So this is equation 2. Now from 1 and 2, as their LHS represent the same physical quantity electric flux, so you can equate the RHS. So E into 4 pi small r square equals to sigma into 4 pi capital R square divided by epsilon 0. Like this. So now you can cancel 4 pi on both sides. So electric field E equals to sigma as it is. This is sigma by epsilon naught, I will write here, okay, into this is capital R square by small r square. So E equals sigma by epsilon naught into capital R square by small r square, where capital R is a constant because we are given with a shell of radius capital R. We are not going to alter that. So sigma by epsilon naught is also a constant. Now electric field varies inversely with the square of the distance. So this is the expression for electric field at point P outside. Okay. So okay, this is case 1. Case 1, electric field outside the shell. Electric field outside the shell. Now this can be further simplified that the box equation can be further simplified that E equals to sigma. Sigma is nothing but Q by 4 pi r square. Q by 4 pi r square whole divided by epsilon naught. So 1 by epsilon naught will come here, right, into capital R square by small r square. Now you can see that capital R square can be cancelled. You will get E equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, 4 pi epsilon naught into, in the numerator Q is there, in the denominator R square is there. This is the expression what we obtained for electric field due to a point charge, where Q is a point charge. If Q is a point charge, electric field at a distance R from the point charge is E equals 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by R square. This we have not derived now for point charge. This we have derived for a spherical shell over which the charge is uniformly distributed. So now we can conclude that a uniformly charged spherical shell behaves like a point charge because this expression is electric field due to a point charge, and this expression is also expression for electric field due to uniformly charged spherical shell. So both expressions are same. So I can now conclude that a uniformly charged spherical shell behaves like a point charge as if the total charge is concentrated at the center of the shell. Therefore, a charged shell behaves like a point charge as if the total charge is concentrated at its center, like center of mass concept. You have got a uniform density sphere, and that sphere will have a point in it, where when you apply a force, the force can produce only translatory motion without rotatory motion. That point is known as center of mass point. So center of mass is also treated as a point where the entire mass of that sphere is supposed to be concentrated. So in examination, you may get a 3 marks question that state Gauss law in electrostatics. Then you will give the statement. Flux through any closed surface is 1 by epsilon naught times the charge enclosed. Without any proof, you are stating this. Then prove that, question continues, prove that the uniformly charged spherical shell behaves like a point charge. Then take up this derivation and prove this. Right now. So we will move ahead that now we calculate electric field on the surface of the shell, whether it can produce electric field on the surface or not. So this I remove this. Second case, electric field on the surface. So now this Gaussian surface does not exist. So where is your point of interest? Your point of interest is on the shell. So now this is the shell. So now you consider point P here. So if you construct a Gaussian surface, your Gaussian surface will enclose the surface, will coincide with the surface. So second one is electric field on the surface of the shell. Right. Now as it is, flux phi equals to E into A perpendicular. There is nothing but E into A perpendicular. Area of the Gaussian surface, area of surface of the Gaussian surface through which flux is passing. So now the Gaussian surface will coincide with the surface of the sphere. This A perpendicular will become 4 pi capital R square, where small r equals to capital R. Radius of the sphere, radius of the shell and radius of the Gaussian surface both are same. So therefore E into 4 pi R square. This is equation 1. Now by Gauss law, you define that phi equals to Q total by epsilon 0. What is Q total? Sigma into 4 pi capital R square by epsilon 0. By equation 2. Now from 1 comma 2, you can write it as E into 4 pi capital R square equals to sigma into 4 pi capital R square by epsilon 0. Right? Now, so now this 4 pi R square is cancelled. You will get E equals to sigma by epsilon 0. And how does this electric field exist? This electric field will exist like this, normal to the surface. So you can write it as E into sigma by epsilon naught into n cap. No problem. So if you want to substitute sigma value, again Q into 4 pi R square, or E equals to, now sigma, in the place of sigma, I write Q by 4 pi R square into 1 by epsilon 0, or you can write it as E equals to 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 into Q by R square. So this expression is similar to that which we derived for case 1. Only capital R replaces small r. So therefore, a shell can produce electric field on its surface normal to the surface of the shell. This is very important concept. What is the direction of electric field on the surface means it is normal. At this point, it will be pointing like this. This is the direction of E. At this point, it will be like this. At this point, it will be like this. At this point, it will be like this. Why it should exist always normal? Why can't it have some other direction? That we discussed in the second chapter, that is electrostatics of the conductors. So, that is why we have written N cap. N cap indicates that electric field exists normal to the surface of the shell. Okay, right. So, it has electric field at a point P outside the cell. It has the electric field on the surface of the cell. Now, we have a third case. We have the third case, that is electric field inside the shell. Electric field inside the shell. So while you are deriving, you need to draw the Gaussian surface for every case, even in the examination also. Right. Now let me draw this shell as it is, like this, whose radius is capital R, and it is given a positive charge. So charge resides on the surface. It is now getting distributed uniformly like this. Now I consider a point here, which I name it as what? P, at a distance R. So P is taken inside the cell. Now to calculate electric field at point P, I should construct a Gaussian surface. Now Gaussian surface is now like this. So this is Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface. Fine. Now calculate flux. Phi equals to E into A perpendicular. You better get habituated to write this equation directly. Electric field multiplied by perpendicular area associated with electric flux. So this is E into A perpendicular. This is area which is perpendicular to the electric field. If you draw electric field, we do not know whether electric field exists or not. That we are going to see. So this is the direction of electric field. Direction of electric field. So this is the direction of electric field. This is the direction of electric field. So therefore, this 4 pi into small r square. 4 pi into small r square. Now use Gauss law. What is Gauss law? Phi equals to Q total divided by epsilon 0. Right? Now, what is Q total? The total charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface. Gaussian surface is constructed inside the shell, whereas the charge is residing on the surface of the shell. So therefore, your Gaussian surface is not enclosing any charge. The charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface drawn inside the shell is 0. I repeat, the charge enclosed by the Gaussian surface drawn inside the shell is 0. So this is 0 by epsilon naught equals to 0. So from 1 and 2, you write that E into 4 pi small r square equals to 0. 4 pi r square can never be 0. So therefore, E can be 0. It is a 0 vector. So what is electric field inside a shell means? Inside the shell, electric field is 0. So it can produce electric field only on the surface. It can produce electric field at any point outside the surface. Suppose you have a football or a volleyball, for example, you have given a positive charge to this one, inside electric field will be 0. The ball has electric field on its surface given by 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, the total charge distributed on the surface, divided by square of the radius of the football or volleyball. And at any point outside, as r increases, electric field will be what? Decreasing. So, from here you have electric field P, here also electric field P, here also electric field, electric field E, here also electric field E, here also electric field E, here also electric field E. This field gradually decreases and it has electric field at this point also. And when you go inside, suddenly the electric field will what? Vanish. This is because of the reason that electric field cannot reside inside any cavity or any hollowness. Therefore, the electric field will be always 0. So this point again we are going to take up in the second lesson, electrostatics of the conductors as a part of electric potential and capacitance. Alright. Now, so clubbing these three cases, if you draw a graph for electric field and the distance from the center of the charged shell, graph is going to be like this. So this is R, distance of the point P from the center of the shell, and this is the electric field. Now this is R equals to 0. R equals 0 corresponds to center of the shell. Center of the shell. Now this point I take it as R equals to R. This corresponds to on the surface of the shell. On the surface of the shell. Because capital R is the radius. Capital R is the radius of the shell. Now this will be R greater than R, any point outside. So this is R less than R. So we proved in the last case that electric field from any point inside. See, we have drawn a Gaussian surface here and we proved that electric field is 0. And what about here? Gaussian surface is like this, Gaussian surface is like this. All these Gaussian surfaces which are drawn inside the shell, none of them will encroach any charge. Therefore, electric field everywhere inside the charged spherical shell will be 0. I repeat, electric field inside the spherical shell at every point will be 0. At the center of the shell it is 0. If the shell has got 10 centimeter radius, what is electric field at the center? 0. What is electric field at 5 centimeter? 0. What is electric field at 7.5 centimeter? 0. What is electric field at 9.9 centimeter? 0. What is electric field at the surface? 10 centimeter. 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught into Q by R square. This side, same thing. This side, same thing. This side, same thing. So at every point what will happen? Electric field is going to be 0. Fine. So now, so from R equals to 0 to R equals to R, electric field is going to be 0. So this is E equals to 0. Now, when you reach this point, you are speaking about the surface. On the surface, you have got E equals to sigma by epsilon naught into n cap. So therefore, the magnitude of electric field on the surface will be sigma by epsilon 0. So here there is electric field. Here there is electric field. Now as you move away from the shell, what will happen? Electric field is gradually decreasing with an equation E equals 1 by 4 pi epsilon 0 into Q by R square. So therefore, E varies inversely with the square of the distance. So this relation will give you an hyperbola. I taught you about the graphs in class 11th. There will be a straight line, there will be a parabola, there will be hyperbola, right? So this relation particularly will give rise to a hyperbola. So it will be like that. So this E varies inversely with 1 by R square. Right? So it cannot be sigma by epsilon naught. Sigma by epsilon naught can exist only on the surface, whereas outside the surface the field will be 0. So we have so many applications for electric field inside the shell 0. That is nothing but electrostatic shielding. Electrostatic shielding. So this we will discuss in the second chapter, that electric field inside the cavity is what? 0. This concept will be used to transport the sensitive electrical devices from one place to other place. Now this you generally observe that when you are traveling in a train, you don't get a signal because the electric field inside the compartment is going to be 0 because the surface is metal, so electric field will spread on the surface. So therefore, that electric field interferes with the signal and it will not allow the signal to reach. When you come and stand in the door of the compartment, then you can hear the sound of the mobile, that is signal is received, right? So with this we have completed the first chapter, that is electric field and electric fields and charges. So what all we have discussed in this chapter means, we have discussed about electrification, important concepts what we have discussed. electrification. Second one is properties of electric charge. Properties of electric charge. Third one is Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law we have discussed. Fourth one is electric field we have discussed. Fifth one is electric field lines. Electric field lines we have discussed with their property. Sixth one is electric dipole we have discussed. Electric dipole and its fields on the axial line and equatorial line. Then we have discussed about electric flux. Eighth one is Gauss law. We have discussed Gauss law. Ninth one is applications of Gauss law. Applications of Gauss law. Right. So these videos are available in the link. You know the link, or simply you type GS Ready in the YouTube channel. Then automatically you will get the 10. This is the 10th video lesson. All 10 video lessons will be appearing in the YouTube channel. And whichever you want, actually you repeat and revisit the particular topic, and you can learn by pausing the video in between and make the notes simultaneously, repeatedly. I am telling this is my request, so that you will learn something. If you do something on your own, you will learn. Otherwise, listening to video is simply watching a movie like. And there are exercises in the NCERT textbook. One by one, you just go on solving. If you have got any problem with the exercise, okay, then you can post the question in the Google Classroom. The next day, I receive the notification. Then as soon as I receive the notification, I will attend your problem and I try to solve it. So this is all for first chapter, and tomorrow we are going to start the new chapter. So keep on watching the video lessons and make the notes and try to do something on your own. Thank you.